squads, na 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 na. Hit squads, na 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 na. Hit squads, da 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 da. Hit squads, da do 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 do. Hit squads, da do 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 do.
Hello YouTube, my name is Paul. Hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back. It's another pickup video, another Hit Squad pickup video. As I try and go for a full ZX Spectrum Hit Squad collection. 115 games, I'm about 104. I think I'm 104 now. I've had one pickup so far this year, which was part of a bundle I picked up maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Another one passed me by, which I'll explain to you a bit later on about that one. So any pickup so far I'm going to show you. The introduction part of the video is this t-shirt, which was kind of, a link was sent to me via the internet sensation, the influencer himself, Jay Cybersnake7. But yeah, I mean, if you want to check out how this t-shirt should actually look, go and check out Jay's channel, because he's got a nice physique, whereas me, my boobs are a little bit tight in this, and I'll tell you what, I should have got a bigger size just to give me a bit of room, I've got to say. Even though I lose some poxy weight. But yeah, lovely t-shirt. I mean, I think this was about 18 quid. I was eyeing up an Ocean one. I never committed to it just in case the quality was a bit crap. But to be honest with you, so far so good. It is actually a nice t-shirt and very apt for this video. So thank you very much, Jay, for sharing the link, mate. Much appreciated. I'll leave the link in the description box below. But anyway, so yeah. So in terms of Hit Squad collecting, like I said, it's been very slow. Generally, other collectors out there don't seem to be moving forward themselves. I think it's just almost like at a standstill. I know there's a couple of chaps out there very close to finishing their collection. I think, might be mistaken, but one of the Instagram guys, Commodore_UK, I'm pretty sure he's completed this Commodore 64 collection for the Hit Squad. Again, slightly bigger than the Spectrum collection, with a few more really difficult titles to pick up. And I would probably assume it's the more expensive one to go for out of the 8-bit systems. Certainly not the Commodore 16 collection, because that consists of just 2 games, which I've actually managed to complete that set, so that's brilliant. So yeah, so I've got 11 games to show you. I've got a few episodes where it's 11 games, because I want to include like the fun schools and the sort of board games. And then there'll be 6 episodes, is that right? Yeah, 6 episodes of just 10 games, so we're halfway through once I've done this one. 11 games here. A lot of them I have memories, good memories of. Some are absolutely dire games. It's a bit like the old great film, shit game combination. They just didn't quite nail it properly. I think the first one's a bit like that, to be honest. But yeah, so not a lot of activity really. So what I'm going to do is crack on and go through the games. Nothing particularly difficult to get, but I will go through that as I go through each game individually. So first up is a game based on a very famous TV series. A game I've never really given much chance to be honest. And that's Miami Vice. So with this particular game, I remember my old mate Dave and his big bag of games. He had bloody loads of games in that bag, I tell you. Shame none of them had inlays, but or instructions, but I remember this one specifically from that particular bundle of games. Top-down game, very similar, a sort of first impressions to say GTA, the original one. You're driving around a cityscape. Graphics are very, very plain. I can't control the car. You've probably seen that in the footage already. I managed to crash it a few times. Got a really strange mechanic for the gun. Can't quite work it out. You can actually shoot forward, backwards and sideways, but you've got to kind of set it up to do so, so it's a bit of a pain in the arse. And some of the screenshots here remind me a little bit of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, so I guess you go into buildings at some point. A bit like Techno Cop and do something, because I never got to the buildings before, so I ain't got a flipping clue. This is movie number 7, again a game that is quite common and quite cheap to pick up. So yeah, that's Miami Vice. Next up is a game based on a TV series. Now it's one of those multi-event shows. Quite popular from what I remember. I don't remember watching it a lot. I don't think it really kind of captured my imagination. And that game is Run the Gauntlet, which again is what, sports number 15. Quite a common-ish game. Again, won't cost you more than a couple of quid. Now, I don't remember the show that well, but the one thing that did trigger the show for me was the music, because the music obviously is taken straight from the show, but then obviously the ZX Spectrum's own interpretation of it. So yeah, it's got great music, the graphics are really good, but the gameplay just lacks that certain something. It's quite boring, I've got to say. Now, a lot of the events seem to be on all-terrain vehicles or boats, but it's only events I've personally seen myself. First played this, I think, on an Atari ST compilation I had years ago when I first started collecting. Must have been about 1994. Got the Amiga version, again, never played it. Gave this one a game, and to be honest with you, it wasn't much of a challenge. So yeah, I got bored quite quickly. But yeah, great music. But the game itself is pretty run-of-the-mill, really. But again, not a complicated one to pick up. Right, next up is an arcade conversion. Now, this arcade game was converted to the Sega Mega Drive. That's probably going to give it away because it's one of the first games that got released. Game I got with my Mega Drive and played it for absolutely hours on end because it was the only game I had. Now, playing the Specky version, I did have no high expectations, I've got to say. And that is Altered Beast. Again, not a very interesting cover, I've got to say. It's quite a bland one, to be honest. But this game, if you're looking at it sort of from a stationary point of view, just looking at the screenshot and listen to the music separately, you probably think, wow, that's not a bad little game. Sounds quite promising. And then you put it on. So you literally start off, do the exactly same as you do on the Mega Drive version and the arcade version, kicking the zombies, kicking those pig things, which are a nightmare to flipping get on the Specky version. And for some reason it judders around to the next part of the level. So yeah, it's almost like you do something, then you stop while it scrolls across, which is very juddery. But yeah, graphics are good on their own. Music's great, but the game itself is absolutely pants. This is arcade number... I've got glasses on, I still can't bloody see. Number 38. Again, won't cost a lot of money. Don't come up that often, but I can't imagine it costing you more than sort of £2 or £3. So that's Altered Beast. Stick with it on the Mega Drive. Next up is another arcade conversion. The original arcade cabinet was either by Taito or Taito. I always say Taito. But who knows? Who bloody knows about these Japanese pronunciations? I don't know. But that is Arkanoid's Revenge of Dough, a series of games I'm not overly that interested in, I've got to say. But I played this, I liked it. I've got to say, I did like it. Arcade 23, again, not that common. Shouldn't cost you more than about £4 or £5. But the game itself is really good. It plays really well. It plays better, in my opinion, than the first one. It's got more sort of AY chip music than the first game did, so it makes it a little bit less painful on the old ears. But the only problem with it that I had was the amount of colour on the Specky version is great, that there's so much colour in it. But bloody hell, sometimes you just can't make out what's going on. You had like yellows in with reds, and obviously your ball is monochrome, so that kind of absorbs the colour of whatever it's kind of overlaying, I suppose. So it goes a bit mental. So that's the only gripe I got with it. Apart from that, it's a bloody awesome conversion. But yeah, it's a good game. A game I never had back in the day, but I'm really pleased to pick it up. So that's game number 4. Next up is another game by Sega. A game that I never played before, to be honest. I remember seeing it on the Atari ST. I think I owned it on the ST when I was collecting the first time round. But never played it. Until I watched Sega Zombie, and I thought, you know what, that looks like a flipping good game. And that is SDI. Another nice blue on blue kind of background there. I think it works really well with artwork like that, even though the artwork itself isn't anything special. Arcade number 26. Again, a game that don't come up that often. Probably cost about £2 or £3 a game. No more than £5 for this one. But it's like Missile Command. Obviously souped up. It's the same sort of premise, really. You've got 2 different stages. One is in space. So I think you're a satellite based on the Star Wars weapon defense system of the late 80s. What the Americans were going to do. And you literally got a laser beam. And you just got to stop the missiles and the other satellites and stuff from hitting you, really, or hitting Earth or the ship you're defending. There's quite by the looks of the screenshots, there's quite a lot of different scenarios there, but it's a good game. I do like it, I've got to say. It might get a bit boring after a while because it's probably very samey, but yeah, I thought it was quite good, but quite difficult. I definitely recommend giving it a go, even if you're not going for a full set of anything in particular. Just give it a go. Right, the next load of games are games that I remember sort of better than those ones really. These are games I may have had on my Spectrum originally. So the first one is a puzzle title. Now, this is the only puzzle title I got, and I shall explain in a second. And that is Trivial Pursuit. A game I actually had back in the day. When I joined the old home computer club, I think this was the game they gave you for free. So how they managed to entice me to part with my £6 a month with bloody Trivial Pursuit, I don't know. But I really wanted to have or join that club because the games they usually promoted were the games that you really wanted. But yeah, so it's a really good game based on the board game. I'm not very good at it because I'm not particularly great with, I suppose, the kind of general knowledge that this throws up at you about animals and stuff like that. I don't really know much about birds, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I had the opportunity of picking up Pictionary. It came up on eBay, buy it now, 50 quid. I scoffed at it, I thought, bloody, that's expensive. Now, that's probably quite rich coming from me. Bearing in mind I spend a fortune on crap games generally anyway. But I did, for some reason, I hesitated. That old Del Boy saying, he who dares wins, he who hesitates don't. And that was me. Yeah, so I didn't win it. And Dave contacted me, Dave, Retro Games Paid Badly, and said, oh, Paul, that's up for auction, mate, or buy it now, because he's already got it. But even then, I just don't know, I wasn't buying it. I did regret it. Once it went, I thought, oh, bloody hell, I should have got that. I should have got it, because I probably won't see one now again. Knowing my luck, I'd have bought it, and one would have come up for about 10 quid. That's probably what I was thinking, really. So it's a shame, but yeah, that's Trivial Pursuit, and that, yeah, I got it as a freebie from Special Reserve. Because I always thought the game they sent you automatically, well, it was the editor's choice, they sent you automatically if you didn't actually pick a game, which was the more expensive ones. I always thought it was one of the crappier ones, but no, the editor's choice was the expensive game. So I couldn't think for a second how I got that, but yeah, it was literally, I think it was a freebie to join Special Reserve. Right, next up is one of the more graphically superior games on this Hit Squad bunch of games. The third game of this character on the system. Game that came out very late in 1988, and probably one of the best Bob Wakeling artworks ever. And in fact, the actual Hit Squad branding doesn't do this any favours. It's much better when you've got it in a big box. That's Batman the Cape Crusader. It looks great, don't get me wrong, but the big box version of it looks bloody awesome. And probably one of Bob's finest bits of cover art, I've got to say. This is movie 13, again very common, game that you can pick up for about 2 or 3 quid. I first ever played this one on the Atari ST, I had a copied version of the game. Couldn't get very far. It's one of those games that is like, it is an arcade adventure. You pick up bits and bobs to get other bits and bobs to work. There are elements in it where you've got to take down the enemy, either with your batarang or your fist or kicking them, whatever, but I always found it quite difficult. I was right in the cave, the back cave, doing all the bits in there. But once I got outside, bloody hell, I really struggled with it. I'd highly recommend it though. I do really like it, I've got to say. And like I said, it's readily available, quite cheap to pick up. But yes, Batman, the Cape Crusader. Next up, another arcade conversion. Another one that's part of a trilogy on the Sinclair Spectrum. In fact, it's part of a trilogy, full stop, wasn't it, back then? I've already shown you the other two, and that is none other than Star Wars. Again, a cracking arcade conversion on the Specky, considering what the Specky's limitations were. This is movie number 10. Again, very common, but because it's relatively desirable, can go for between 5 and 10 quid. I know I've sold copies for it for about 5 to 10 quid before. But again, if you pick it up as part of a bundle, it costs you next to nothing. Vector graphic game based on the arcade by Atari. Very good, I've got to say. It's got not got a lot of atmosphere in it, as you'd expect from a Specky, but the graphics moved around at a fair pace. Yeah, it's really good. I did enjoy it, but yeah, again, I picked up the Specky. I think I've recently picked it up. No, I haven't. I've got the other two on the Atari ST. I'm still waiting for that on the Atari ST to see what it looks like and plays like on a 16-bit system. Right, the next 3 games are highly nostalgic. The next one is another movie tie-in, multi-level game, one of the earlier ones to do that, I think. to kind of bring that format to Ocean games generally. That's Platoon. A bloody brutally hard game. Cracking film. Love the film. This is not a bad game, I've got to say. If you can kind of persevere with it, it is very difficult. You get a lot of lives in the game. This is movie number 9. Again, a common game. It doesn't cost a lot of money, £1 or £2. I first played this one when I copied it off my brother's friend. And it just kind of reminds me of that period, because I changed schools at that time as well. So it kind of reminds me of that, really. Not that changing schools is a great thing. But yeah, great music from David Whittaker. I do love the music. One of his finest pieces of work on the spec, I've got to say. But it's broken down into many different parts. In the jungle, then you go, I think, into the tunnel sections, which was the first time I played a game like that, where it's almost first person. It's first person, but obviously in a sort of more jumpy environment, because it jumps from screen to screen. But I remember one of the guys coming out of the sewer, which was strange, because the missus was looking at it the other day thinking, what's that all about? What's the level all about? It's a sewer. What do you mean it's all blue? How can it be a sewer? But it was. And this thing jumped out of the flipping water, and I literally leapt back and I smacked my head against the flipping wall. Because I never expected it to do that. And when you look at it nowadays, you think, why the hell did I do that? But back then I was like absolutely surprised that this thing came out of the water. But there you go, some of the things you remember, eh? But yeah, I remember clouting my frigging head against the wall. Bloody hurt. Good game though. I've never completed it. Got to the last level on the Spectrum and the Amiga. Even with a compass, it's bloody hard. Right, next up was probably one of the most disappointing games ever, in my opinion. The previous two games. Two of the finest games ever to grace the Spectrum, especially in the genre that they were in. In fact, they were the two best games on the Sinclair Spectrum in that genre. God knows why they went the route, or took the route they did. I thought they'd try something a little bit different and cash in on it. And that is good old Renegade III, the final, thank God, chapter. But yeah, it's a shame. Again, I so much look forward to this game. This is what, Arcade 31. Don't come out very often, believe it or not, even though it's not an expensive title. Probably buy it for about £3 or £4. Just don't see much of it. But yeah, I remember getting this game, so I was really hyped to get it. I remember doing the usual thing I did back in the day, phoned at Virgin Megastore. Do you have Renegade 3 in stock yet? Yeah, we got it in stock. So me and my mate went up there, took the bus up, got there, and back then Spectrum Games Gen was $7.95 for a full price title. Well, for some particular reason on this particular day, that was $8.95. Now that was, got us in a situation, a bit of a quandary, because do we buy the game for $8.95 and have no bus fare to get home? Or do we buy the game and, well, not buy the game. So yeah, we bought the game and then had to ask some random person for £1 to get home, which I didn't do that because I didn't have the balls to do that. But yeah, I said, Sam, we need to get home, mate. Go and ask someone for £1. And he did. Bloody hell. But yeah, there's a couple of the memories attached to that. One is that incident, and the other one was the TV I played it on. I had a really old, it must have been probably a late 70s telly, one of those wooden frame ones. When you look in the back of it, all the electronic components and that were flipping ancient. And it actually started smoking. I played the game and thought, why is there smoke coming from the back of the telly? So it almost caught fire. I literally had to turn it off. But yeah, freaking hell. But yeah, I don't have many memories about the game, but those are the two I have. But the game itself, the music is fantastic. The graphics are really good. But the gameplay is so bad, it's unbelievable. And such a letdown, you know what I mean? I guess they could have just left it at Target Renegade and stopped. Because there's nothing else they could have really done with that franchise, to be honest. Right, we finally made it to the very last game. Now, again, one of Bob Wakeling's artworks, a bit like Renegade 3, really. One of my favourite films of all time. So this is a case of great game, great film. Yeah, The Great Escape. Needs no introduction. What a game, what a piece of art. Movie number 6. Again, this would have been from my mate Dave's Big Bag of Games. Probably where I got the initial enthusiasm really for Ocean Unimagined titles, because the amount of games he had in that bag were geared towards those two companies. And some of the earliest Spectrum gaming memories would have come from, again, that bag of games. But yeah, I mean, The Great Escape is a really good game. I remember completing it. There's not just one way to complete. You complete as many ways as you want, really. But I just remember making a run for it with my pliers, cut my way through the fence, avoiding the dogs, and escaped. but you can play it in a multitude of different ways, and sometimes you can make it a bit convoluted, so you're sort of confusing yourself really. But yeah, I literally pegged it to the fence, snipped through the fence, and away I went. But I can't do that anymore, it's too bloody hard. Don't know how I did it. But yeah, there's certain things you can play it automatically, where you kind of like leave the joystick alone. Your character then goes around automatically, and then you just peel off every now and then to pick up certain items. But the graphics are fantastic, done by Denton Designs, which I think a lot of the guys who worked at Denton Designs were original Imagine Software developers. So that was great. But yeah, what a game! Really, really good game. I love this game even today. It's one of those games again where I've played the game before watching the film, but the film is just brilliant. Love it. But yeah, that's still a Great Escape. Again, quite... Is it common? Nah, it's not that common. I can go again for about £5. But I love it. That's it. That's my 11 titles to show you this month. Again, I don't expect to get much more. Like I said, my previous prediction of about 3 games for the year is probably going to be about right. Should have picked that bloody Pictionary up though, shouldn't I? What a swine. Never mind. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. I'll see you guys again real soon. So take care and bye for now.